Anderson Cooper 360, weeknights at 8 and 10 on CNN.
There is no question Dwayne Buck is guilty of murder. In 1995, he shot and killed 2 people, including his former girlfriend, and wounded his stepsister in this Houston house. The controversy started after a jury convicted him. That's because during the sentencing phase, former Texas prison psychologist Walter Quijano was asked this question by a prosecutor. Quote, "You have determined that the race factor, black, increases the future dangerousness for various complicated reasons. Is that correct?" Quijano responded yes. And later, in asking the jury to sentence Buck to death rather than life in prison, the prosecutor told the jury, quote, "You heard from Dr. Quijano that there was a probability that the man would commit future acts of violence."
It's so clear that the testimony shouldn't have been put before the jury.
Linda Geffen was an attorney working the case, but not just any attorney. She was one of the prosecutors, and she's now pushing to get Dwayne Buck a new sentencing hearing.
The idea that he would be walked to the execution chamber without this simple hearing boggles the mind. It just doesn't make good sense.
Walter Quijano became a lightning rod figure 13 years ago when the death sentences of 6 inmates were overturned because of Quijano's controversial testimony that race is one of 20 factors that can determine if someone is likely to be a future danger to society. All of them were given new sentencing hearings, and all were sent back to death row. Dwayne Buck was denied a new sentencing hearing, but is appealing that decision. From jail, Dwayne Buck remembers what it was like to hear Quijano's testimony.
It's like he basically saying, because you're black, you need to die, right? And I felt that was strange because my lawyer didn't say nothing, and nobody else, the prosecutor or the judge, and nobody did. It's like it was an everyday thing in the court.
Another member of the prosecution's team, Roe Wilson, says Buck doesn't deserve a new sentencing hearing because Quijano's testimony had little impact on the jury. In fact, Wilson noted Quijano was called as an expert witness for the defense and testified that the convicted killer should be spared the death penalty.
Is it right? Should you ever link race to why a judgment is reached? No. But in Buck's case, that's not what happened. And in the cases where it did happen, it was reversed.
After days of calling Walter Quijano, we tracked him down at his suburban Houston psychological clinic.
Hi, my name is Ed Lavandera with CNN, and we've been trying to get a hold of you to talk to you about your testimony in several death penalty cases.
Sure.
Quijano invited us in. He says to clear the misconceptions over his testimony. He says over the years he's received death threats.
The allegations that you are racist, allegations that you are racist and that your testimony is racist. Mm-hmm. What do you say to that?
Well, it's not true, but of course I have never been the type of person who will argue for me.
Quijano says his testimony has been misunderstood. He argues that some 20 social factors can be used to determine if someone is likely to repeat violent behavior. Things like age, sex, socioeconomic background, education, drug use, and yes, race.
They pick that one piece of testimony and twist it and make it look like race causes people to commit crimes, which is stupid. Now, no human being would say such thing.
But in some of the testimony that I've read, you say race is a factor as to whether or not someone will be a future danger. So it comes off as you're saying if someone is black, they're more likely to be dangerous in the future.
People with guns are more likely to be violent than no guns. Doesn't mean all gun owners are violent. So it's simplistically taking this and then twisting it. I'll show you a quote from the classic textbook in the violence. Clearly say, if you do not factor in race, you are not discussing the problem seriously.
It's unfair that if you're a black defendant
Yeah.
and you're being compared to what a bunch of other black people are doing, that ultimately that's not fair for you, is it?
It is not fair, but those are the statistical studies. But when you say he is likely to commit another crime because he is male, nobody objects to that. That's the same level comparison.
Dwayne Buck has one last chance to fight his death penalty sentence. A Texas appeals court will decide any day this summer if he gets another shot in the courtroom. Ed Lavandera, CNN, Houston, Texas.